Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. It is the Trader Merlin Show today. I've been trying to get a hold of Gabe, guys. We did a test earlier. Everything was perfect, and for some reason, nothing technology-wise wants to work right now. So, you have to bear with me. I'm hopefully going to get him live during the show at some point, but right now we're getting frustration level over here. Frustration level 10 with Skype. Maybe it's because Microsoft has earnings tomorrow. Damn them and their troublemaker applications. Okay, since I have to completely shift things for a second, I'm going to go to our top 7 markets here. You may hear some weird beeping in the background. That's going to be me trying to call Gabe because, unfortunately, as you guys know, there's a bizarre thing that goes on in my house, which in my trading office, which I'm in right now, it turns into an absolute black hole for telecommunications, and I cannot usually send or receive calls in here. So I'm going to do my best, as choppy as today's show might be, to have Gabe on the program. We should have him on here shortly. I will try intermittently to... they're still great, Joseph, but really, really want to have Gabe on the program today because he's one of my favorites. I spent many, many years working with Gabe and learning from Gabe, and as one of the great things about what I did with Online Trading Academy, what I do with Online Trading Academy, is the ability to learn from these guys on a regular basis. So, to me, that's the beauty of being part of a good community, is knowing that I can at any moment turn and have a support group, have someone around me to bounce ideas off of, and Gabe has always been great for that. So real quick, let me try him one more time on the phone. Sorry, apologize for any weird dialing beeps and blunders, etc. You get to hear the wonderful ringtone. If not, I guess we'll have to just skip with Gabe. I'm not exactly sure why this happened or what happened because it was... super.
Hi, this is Gabe. I'm unavailable
right
now, so
I don't get it. We're both in this technological black hole. So my apologies because we had a great show set up for today. Yes, he absolutely is. We will get him at some point. I'm going to do my best, guys, to get him on. So let me start off with our top 7 markets here, and then I'll work my way up. And since this was supposed to be my whole planned show, yes, the voice of reason copyright. I wish there was a voice of reason copyright for that one. Maybe we do it this way. Hold on one second. Hey, Gabe.
Yep, I'm here.
I have to call you on Skype. I can't use my cell phone. It doesn't work in my office. So answer the weird number coming from Skype. Ugh. All right. Try that one more time. Okay. So anyway, Joseph, congrats, by the way, on your wonderful NQ day. Not a bad day to be making some green. It was a nice little sell-off there. I'll actually bring up full screen on the side monitor here so you guys can see. Hey, are you with us, Gabe?
I am with you.
Phew, man.
Sorry about that. We are, I guess, bad luck.
It'll work at this point. I guess we'll have to make it work. Sorry, everybody out there. That was a complete shit show. I'm not sure why. Gabe and I did a test earlier. Everything was working perfectly, so we'll call it the Microsoft Gremlins. Thank you, Mr. Gates. All right, rewind.
Blame it on me, Marlon.
No. I never blame anything on you, buddy. That's all on me. It's my system. I'll take full credit for it. The viewers can throw tomatoes at me. So, since it's your first time on this show, Gabe, I wanted to start by doing what I usually do with most first-time guests on the program, which is kind of do a trader profile. And in that, I'd love for you to answer, in brevity, 3 simple questions. Number 1 is, how long have you been trading? Number 2 is going to be, what assets you trade? And number 3 would be, what is your trading style? So let's start there.
Okay, so I started I actually started in the markets back in 1987 as a broker here in Long Beach, California, with a company called Payne Weber. Notable was that I came into the business in the summer of '87, and then we had the '87 crash. So that's always something that stuck in my mind. And in fact, as I like to say, that was probably the best thing that happened to me in retrospect, because set the tone for really the rest of my trading career, taught me about risk, taught me about how the markets really work. And that's how I started. So what's that, 32 years?
Yeah,
too
33.
Long to mention, let's say. too long to mention.
A lifetime ago. All right, so you started off as Payne Weber. It's kind of funny that they would actually have a brokerage firm that started with the name Payne. Nobody wants to have pain in the marketplace. All right, so 1987, starting off in the brokerage industry. What assets did you probably? I'm assuming you started with equities because that's pretty much what everybody did in the 80s, right?
Yeah, equities and options. Yeah, so what we did primarily were, stocks. In those days, we didn't really have ETFs. ETFs hadn't really come into the fold. So we did mainly individual stocks, shares of companies, and options. So options were, at that time in the late 80s, were, just coming on, and people really didn't know a whole lot. Hasn't really changed a whole lot, to be honest, with the options market. But in those days, it was a fairly new asset class. So yeah, that's how I got started.
And then what assets do you trade now? I mean, I put on the screen you trade everything, which is probably a stretch. I mean, you're not a crypto guy.
Well, not everything. So I don't do cryptocurrencies, first off. I don't do spot FX. So I guess if you really think about it, my primary asset is futures, options, and stocks and ETFs. So I guess we can break it down that way.
Okay. And what would you say your trading style is? Longer term, short term, super investor?
A little of everything, really. But I'm not a big kind of short term in terms of lots of trading intraday. All that. I've just, in my career, 32 years, the statistics, we've all seen the statistics on how people actually do with that type of trading. They're not very good. So I tend to shy away from that because it's just not something that anybody I know has. In 32 years, I haven't known one person that has done that legitimately, consistently profitable over a long period of time.
All right, there you go. Trader profile. We've got Gabe Velazquez talking about trading for, going the better part of 33 years, actually. 33 this year. Trading a variety of different asset classes. You guys heard futures, options, Forex, but not spot, doing the futures and Forex. And then trading style. Pretty much, I think, what most experienced traders do, including myself, which is whatever needs to be done, right? And I agree with Gabe. Anybody who is a pure day trader, I don't know anybody from my heyday day trading days of the late 90s that was just a day trader that is still trading today that only day trades. Most people find a variety of different time frames to use, relieve a little bit of that stress from short-term trading by going and trading maybe the swing trades or position trading as well. So, cool. All right, Gabe, today's topic was a little different. Yesterday we had Tilly Allison talking about how she likes to use pre-market data in the Globex hour sessions and kind of what we can glean from that environment. And in talking with you, you've got an M3, and we're not talking about a BMW M3. It's market methodology. Morning market methodology is your M3, which is kind of your program that you started up. Tell me a little bit about M3, and then maybe we'll go look at some charts.
Yeah, M3 stands for, as you mentioned, morning market methodologies. And essentially what we do is with our elite members, we start 5:30 Pacific, start with our futures markets, go across all of the 20 different markets that we look at, categorized in equities, interest rates, and so on and so forth, energy. So we pretty much have a very methodical, systematic way of looking at the markets, hence the name. And so we go through those looking for opportunities on a daily basis. Once we come into the U.S. stock market open, we shift gears and move into individual stocks and options and look at option setups that we have gleaned prior to that. I get up at 3:30 in the morning and do a lot of work, write write for our members a kind of a pre-market, kind of what we're setting up for. And so, we usually end around 7:30 Pacific, depending on market conditions and so forth. So again, it's about preparing everybody in the group to tackle the day, having all of the setups ready to go, Generally, we take the setups right on the open as the options markets open, and we see the pricing. We just look at that. We also look at where where our entries are going to happen. Set those up. I like to have all the trades, and usually a lot of them trigger right probably in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the open. That's usually the prime time where you get the maximum premiums on the options and so forth. Futures as well, as you know, I mean, a lot of the markets tend to, institutions are most active during that, first half hour because they need the liquidity to fill their orders. Remember that every buyer has to have a seller, and the institutions do a lot of volume, so they need to have the other side of their trade filled. And it's really interesting because they feed on the people that don't know what they're doing, and so they need to have. So if a stock gaps up, like for instance, today as an example, you look at stocks like IBM, you look at some of the stocks we were looking at today, VMware. Look at those stocks; they basically gapped up huge and sold off the rest of the day. Well, if you think about it, that gap up provided liquidity for the institutions to sell into that. And so, they need that type of, they need those people to come in the morning to get excited about a stock and buy it so they can fill their sell orders. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned a couple minutes ago, or real quickly there, that you're up at 3:30 in the morning. Clearly, You probably shouldn't live in California. You should live in like Brazil, so you could actually wake up at like 9 a.m. and trade the open at 12:30. What are you doing for that 3-hour window? There's a lot of time in there for you to analyze the markets, break it down, and find what you're looking for. What would you say in kind of in a nutshell are the things that you're looking for so that when that bell rings, that gate opens, that you're prepared and ready to go?
I am looking for areas of where the institutions have shown us that they are sellers and buyers. In a nutshell, I mean, I guess that's oversimplified, but that's exactly what we're looking for. Yep, because what will happen is, again, as I mentioned, and we start looking at the charts, you can see what I'm talking about with some of these stocks.
Go ahead, bring them up.
Yep, all right. So bring up, I don't know, let's bring up, what was the stock we did today?
Baba?
We did Baba. Baba, yep. Alibaba.
All right.
Okay.
So I've got
to notice pre-market. Where was Alibaba? It was up like $9, right?
Yeah.
Huge.
So real quick before you dive into that, Gabe, when you say pre-market, so you're looking at the 24-hour clock on Alibaba for pre-market?
Well, actually, the U.S. stock market has a pre-market that opens at 8 a.m. Eastern, but as you know, there's a lot of dark pools out there, whatever. So, if you look at a stock anytime, say after, I don't know, 5 a.m. Pacific, you'll see the bid ask. You'll see where the buyers and the sellers are in that stock, right. And you get a sense. Now, what happened is Alibaba was up huge because of whatever, China or, the NASDAQ, hitting right up against the old highs last night. Whatever you want to ascribe it to, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is the stock was going to gap up pretty significantly, right? And so if you think about that, where did it gap into? It gapped right into an area where we had some kind of a selling that happened in the past, and so what our bet was is that the stock, when it opened, would immediately fall, and we were taking advantage of the fact that there were a lot of let's say unsophisticated traders, investors that were willing to pay premium to buy that stock on the open, and we were willing to take their money. it sounds kind of bad, but
it's not. It's funny, Gabe, because to me it's just the ruthlessness of what the financial markets are. It's funny. I had a viewer when I was doing power trading radio years ago, and he says, we were talking with Dr. Woody Johnson. He says, I have a real problem with knowing that if I make money, somebody else lost it. I just said, hey, buddy, you are in the wrong profession. You have to embrace that, take whatever you can get, and just assume it's from somebody that you wanted to take it from anyway. Just assume it was Goldman Sachs. You're taking it from somewhere.
In that respect, Merlin, if you really think about it, free market capitalism, right, or any competitive endeavor, right? You have to have first of all, you have to compete. Secondly, there's always a winner and a loser. Isn't that right?
Yep, absolutely.
Any competitive, whether it's business, whether it's sports, you're gonna have a winner or a loser. Right? That's just the nature of the beast, right? And so my point is, if you think about, for instance, you're a big 49ers fan, right?
I am.
You're a big football fan. Okay, so what if you're the 49ers and there's a rookie, DB or something that, is not really doing that well? Would you let him off the hook, or would you, if you found a weak link on the opposing team, what would you do?
I would exploit that if I saw it against me. If it was on my team, I would remove that player and put in something different.
Exactly. So my point is, unfortunately, that's the way the world works. Isn't that right?
Yep, absolutely.
In any competitive environment. I know I hate to put it in those terms, but it is what it is.
It is. No,
and trading is trading is one of the most competitive venues out there. If you think about it, where most people, all market participants, are all out to do the same thing. Is that not right?
Yep. I mean, we're all out there to make money on it, and
exactly.
And same thing in our day-to-day lives. You're trying to, get ahead in whatever profession you are doing. And, in theory, in practice and application, if you are better at what you do than the other person, then you will go farther and you will succeed. So, ideally, that's what we're trying to aspire to as traders.
Yeah, exactly. But within the realms of, within the bounds of decency and whatever. I mean, and legality, of course, right?
Yeah.
You can't, you know what I mean? You can't take shortcuts.
Yeah, well, unless you're a major institution, then you pay a small fine, you make a couple $100 million and pay a $10 million fine, and, no big deal. But we're not institutions, we're retail guys. All right, so Alibaba this morning, you saw that big gap up. I like it. I'm sure that's probably one of your scans is for these, especially during earnings season, because a lot of it becomes a little bit over exuberant.
Yeah.
If you guys notice
we love earnings season. Yep.
Yeah, right.
That's where we're most active.
If you guys notice on this chart here, I put in a yellow box what was during the aftermarket hours. So when you guys see that yellow box, that's really showing you what was trading the after hours. And Alibaba was trading up at 266 in pre-market, but then, by the time it opened up, and I think I've got this line perfectly, it opened up at 262 and change. So it still was coming down a little bit going into the open, which that's fine. And Gabe was looking at it saying, there's probably a potential here for this thing to fill the gap, which it got awfully darn close to doing. How do you play that? Are you playing it from the equity perspective and just outright shorting Baba's shares, or do you go into option strategies on an intraday basis?
We do actually both.
Okay.
We do actually both, because obviously there's two different areas there. And it's all depending on your capital allocation and risk tolerance and so on and so forth. So an options play is a whole different setup than shorting the stock, because an options play, we basically are looking at options that expire this Friday.
Right.
And so that's a whole different setup than versus shorting the stock for a day trade. You need a lot more capital. You need a level. You need a type 3 account and so on and so forth. And so again, in terms of, as there are different strategies that apply to different situations, and you can use various strategies. The underlying message here is that we were betting outright that the stock would fall. I mean, that really is the crux of the situation, and then you can kind of build strategies around that.
I'm looking through messages here that I got. Actually, this is from Trader Merlin. There was one that came in yesterday asking me, you mentioned the word whipsaw. What does whipsaw mean? I actually have an example, and since we're on the topic of earnings, we're on the topic of potentially gapping up, take a peek, guys, if you want it. ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. This is one of those crazy, volatile, techs, or biotech. Not really biotech, it's a medical device company. But you can see where it closed at here. It closed at a low of, give me exact price, Merlin, 658. And as they reported earnings, it shot all the way up to a high of 700. So you're looking at a $42 move in 5 minutes and then came ripping back down. That's whipsaw. That's where you think that they're going to have amazing blowout earnings. You want to jump on board. The novice investor buys in, and then all of a sudden you're left holding the bag. I mean, Intuitive Surgical was expected to have earnings of 34 cents, and they came out at $1.11. That's a massive beat on earnings. You would think that this thing would be at 800 by now. Well, a lot of it is probably already priced in. As you can see that over the past 5 sessions, Intuitive Surgical has gone from 560, it's up $100 in 5 days. So this is buy the rumor, sell the news type of stuff. Just wanted to bring that one up for Ivan out there who was asking about whipsaw. I'm sure some of you have heard that term before. Okay, for tomorrow, you have things like the big names coming out tomorrow. Tesla and Microsoft. Microsoft, one of the most valuable companies in the world at over $1.5 trillion. You've got Tesla, the young darling, which just broke above $200 billion, but not even making any money. Are those on your radar for tomorrow? Are you waiting to see how they gap up in the after hours?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned Tesla. We were talking to our elite members over the last several days, and think about this. There are people now today at the open this morning that were willing to pay money for the right to buy Tesla shares at 2,800, right?
Yeah.
And we're willing to pay $2. Right?
Yeah.
For the right to buy those shares between now and Friday.
Right. It just tells you how crazy
what
it is.
What do you think? What do you think, Merlin? Is that low hanging fruit? What do you think?
I always hate that term, low hanging fruit. Yeah, no, it is, and I think that my inclination is I generally shy away from the stuff that's too volatile, and that's just a risk management thing that I put in place. And Tesla's like right on the cusp. The way this thing moves in one day based off a comment or a tweet, not just from Musk but from the president, is a little too risky for me.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
but you probably for those.
But, as long as you understand what your exit strategy is, that's the key in that situation, right? You have to understand what the exit strategy is. Sure. I'm not suggesting you sell that call naked, by the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you tell you what, if you look at the charts here, guys, I'll just show you average daily volume as well to kind of factor it in here. Now you got to remember the number of shares outstanding for Microsoft is exponentially different than what it is for Tesla. Right, you've got billions of shares available. I don't know off the top of my head. I think last time I looked it was like 8 billion. I'll have to verify that one. But they had an unbelievable amount of shares open on Microsoft. And then Tesla, I believe was like 200 million. I'll check those just here in just a second. But I wanted to show you the liquidity side of it. You can see here that you have on Tesla today 16 million shares. Its average is about 15 million, right? So, and Tesla's current shares outstanding, if you look at the total float, I'll bring up some statistics here, which will take me just a second. You are looking at shares outstanding is 185 million shares. Now, let's put that in perspective with Microsoft, which is MSFT. And Microsoft has an outstanding float of 7.58 billion shares. I'll put this ticker symbol up here too, MSFT. And it's trading, 37, 38 million shares. So it'll take a lot more to move Microsoft. Not to say it's not going to have a pretty wild day tomorrow after close when they report earnings, but from a risk perspective, it's probably going to be a little bit safer to be trading Microsoft versus Tesla simply due to the liquidity issue of outstanding shares. Now, Gabe, I know that one of your criteria and things you're looking for is obviously liquidity. You don't want something that barely trades. Does what I just mentioned, that analysis of kind of float outstanding and et cetera, does that ever factor into your trading decisions?
Yeah, it does in a sense that as you mentioned, I mean, you don't want to trade stocks that don't have a lot of liquidity because, again, spread and more than anything else in regards to that, very simply, is a stock that has very little volume generally has a wide spread, and it's much easier manipulated, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. So they can if you look at a stock that has very thin volume, you can see the spreads widen out, and that's due to the algos or the market makers or whatever. And you can see that in options as well. You can also see that in futures. So that's the primary point of trading stocks. So on the screener that I use, one of the parameters is that we want 2 million shares daily. On average, so average daily volume, and I smooth that out for a 10-day period. So that is something that we look at, absolutely.
Yeah, and guys, I do as well. We all have different numbers. Gabe said 2 million. I usually about 1.5 million. Bottom line is, you want to make sure that whatever you are trading has enough activity in it so that you don't end up moving the market on your own with a big order out there, which can happen easily. You were mentioning in your M3 session this morning that you had taken some trades. Anything that's still on that you want to talk about? Any trades open?
Yeah. I mean, what the my commentary this morning, where I write for all of my elite members, is we kind of focus on what's moving primarily. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was noteworthy this morning is the commodities, right? So if you take a look at gold, you take a look at silver, you look at Aussie, New Zealand, those, the Com Doll, Canadian dollar, you can see all those had a tremendous move. Platinum, if you just kind of scour your charts there. So we were focused on those markets this morning. In fact, we did put out a couple of shorts on the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar. We have still some shorts out there in the platinum. Nothing in gold, because gold probably goes to 1900 on the next rally here. So yeah, nothing there really of quality. So we could look to buy pullbacks in that. But yeah, those came right up to those areas and sold off. So those are working so far. Again, nothing works for, just not all trades work, and sure, obviously you need to manage your risk and so forth. So that was really the theme this morning, and obviously the Nasdaq rallying to. And in fact, if you look at that chart of the Nasdaq, in fact, it came right up to the prior highs and then turned down. And so one of the themes, if you recall from last week when I was with my members, we were talking about, if you remember, there was kind of rotation out of tech last week, remember? And, and then you saw the move in the small caps and so on and so forth. In fact, we had a nice trade in Apple last week as well, shorting Apple as well. And so, but then what happened last night, we basically rotated back into, out of the blue for whatever reason. You saw the big, massive rally in the Nasdaq yesterday, so I made mention of that, and now we're back to the sell-off today. Market looks really heavy to me right now. And there's a lot of stocks that are not participating. Yeah. And some stocks that are participating are, what I jokingly say are bubblicious.
That they are. There's quite a few of those. Yeah, there's a question. Dan says the CD trade worked out well from Gabe's morning session. I'll bring up the Canadian dollar here at CD. I think this one you and I were talking about earlier, Gabe. I mean, you had it rip right up into that area of supply that you identified, drifting down a little bit to 74.30 right now. You really have this kind of small little breakout for the past. It's been almost sideways for a month, and it just broke out up an area of supply. What are your thoughts on Canadian dollar at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look at like fundamentals or any of that. I mean, it's basically, again, as I mentioned early with you when we started, I'm looking to capture the turning points. I'm looking to find where the lowest risk, highest probability situations are that will afford my members where they can take, a very low risk, have some very high probabilities, and get paid for their risk. And that's a strategy that we use.
Nice.
Day in and day out. We actually have a track record that we post on the site for anybody to look at. If you guys have seen my video, we're glad to show you how we do. And we also track every trade every day. So it's totally transparent. And winners, losers, whatever, the good, bad, the ugly, doesn't matter.
Gee, Gabe, what a novel idea. Unlike one of our other POS colleagues that we used to work with, who just always talks about his great winning trades and how amazing of a trader he is. It's nice for you to be honest and transparent. I appreciate that. There's questions that come in multiple times about silver today. Obviously, today's move in silver is fantastic if you're long silver. I am currently long Pan American Silver, PAAS, so this has been a good one for me. What's your take on this one? I'll bring the chart up for viewers out at home. You guys can see that silver, this is the SLV ETF. I put it on a weekly here just to show you kind of how long it has been pressed down, right? It's been underneath, I'm going to call it $20 for the better part of 6 years. And all of a sudden in the last, since this March lows, we've seen a huge move up. Silver in March was trading at about $10. Right now it's at $19.67 on SLV. We are coming into some areas of overhead supply right around that $20 mark. There are a couple other areas, but it looks to me like silver may have turned the corner and now has some room to run. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, silver and gold, sometimes most of the time they're somewhat correlated, but then those correlations get really acute. Mm-hmm. I think now is the time where those correlations become very, very pronounced. And so basically you can buy the SLV or the GLD, or you can go into, the silver futures contract is very expensive at $25 a tick, 5,000 ounce contract. So not for, as I used to say on the floor, not for widows or orphans, right? That's the futures contract, right?
Yep.
And so there are other ways to play silver. And as you mentioned, that Pan America, that stock that you mentioned, which basically is a proxy for silver, or you can just outright just buy the SLV, which tracks the silver futures contract. So that's a way to play silver in the long term. Now, I would not chase that right here. I've never chased. We can wait for pullbacks into quality areas of where institutions have shown that they want to buy. Mm-hmm. But again, it all goes back to, you can day trade, as Merlin, you can day trade silver all day long, and
sure,
not a problem, right? Or you can take a longer term view and say silver's going to, $30 an ounce or whatever, right? And in that respect, you have to position yourself in a different asset class, such as, like you say, SLV. Make sure you buy the appropriate amount of shares that you're comfortable with. Make sure you pay a good price for that, and also, more importantly, understand where you're going to be wrong if things don't work out.
Sure. I'm actually just mapping out for the viewers at home right now. I'm looking at SLV, this is Pan American Silver. Let's go back to SLV just to give you an idea of the move that it's had, because it's been spectacular. I'm going from trough to peak, the low in March to where we are right now. You're up 83% in an 18-week period of time for SLV. I'll check out GLD so we can look at apples to apples here, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, which one would you rather be in, silver or gold? I personally like silver better, just because it's easier for me to acquire. I mean, I guess I have physical silver, I have physical gold, and I have no gold ETFs, but I do have silver, like Pan American Silver, as I mentioned. And gold up 27.28% in that same period of time as silver. So silver definitely looking much, much, much stronger. Yes,
Yep.
Randall, thank you very much for those that are, yes, if you do have the opportunity, hit that like button. Of course, you guys that are new, I know we have a lot of new viewers out there. Hit subscribe button. That way you'll know we do the show every day, Monday through Friday. Also put videos out on Saturday and Sunday on different topics. Those ones are not live, so hit that like button if you can. Gabe, talk to me about your program, Transparent Trading Solutions. I know that it's a recent endeavor for yours, so congrats on the effort. I have your website up here where people can get more information. That's transparenttrading.solutions.com. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, we're not in education, so we're not into education, just so everybody's clear on that. What we do is we do real-time analysis of the market. I think that's the best way. Can you learn? Absolutely. Are we actually doing classes and doing all that? Nope. So what we do is we provide 3 tiers of service for everybody. One is simply just taking the picks. Another one is you get content, videos, you get recordings. And the third, the elite tier, is where you come into that M3 sessions on a daily basis. We go through the live markets. We go through a strict, consistent methodology every morning. One of the things in 32 years I've learned is if you are not consistent with a proven methodology, your odds of success are largely diminished.
Totally agree.
Right?
That's why we call you the voice of reason.
So,
someone asked earlier if the voice of reason was patent. I think you should actually see if you could patent that and just have as your tagline, the voice of reason. I know you hate it, but I love it.
Well, that's not a bad tag to have, actually, right?
It's endearing. It basically says, look, there's so much crap out there and so much other garbage that you're looking at. I'm the voice of reason to bring it back to reality and say...
I'm so glad you said it, Merlin. I didn't. You said it, man.
Well,
you
certainly understand right now that this show is under no one's control but my own. It's through my own corporation, so I am no longer limited by what I can say. So, but I do try to keep the curse words to a minimum.
Well, I feel exactly the same way, and your members can vouch for that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yes, we've broken. We are you're unrestrained, if you will, right? Unfettered.
Yeah, well, we get to be who we truly are. It's funny, Gino says during his XLT sessions with you, he would refer to you as Trader's Daddy. Yeah, sometimes Daddy needs to slap you around a little bit. You're doing it wrong. All right, Gabe, well, I want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can make it a more regular thing. I know you've always got some great analysis. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your routine, your style, and about your new endeavor. I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully I'll see you on here a bit more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize for the technical difficulties, but that's okay. I guess I have a face for radio, as they say, right? So I guess I spared everybody the.
Hey, you do a live show every day, and sometimes things just don't work, and you just gotta call a different play call, right? Move on to the next one and do risk management. So we did well today. So.
Okay. All right, Merlin.
All right, Gabe. Thank you so much. Take care, my friend.
Yep. Yeah.
Right, bye.
Take care. Bye.
Guys, that was Gabe Velazquez. I had his picture up there, which was Transparent Trading Solutions. You can check out more information there. He does a live session every morning, which is at a time that I don't even want to get out of bed. So unfortunately, I won't be in those sessions. But I wouldn't mind. I know he's always got great content. What I like about Gabe over the years, and this has been one of my favorite things about him, is he's not one of these people to candy coat it and say yes just so that you feel better. I mean, if you present a trade, or this is how it was in the past, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the Transparent Traders too. If you present a trade where the level is just god-awful, doesn't make any sense, and he's going to go, yeah, I don't like it. And here's why. It's not done right because of this, and this, and I check out this. But it's tough love, right? There's a method to the madness that Gabe does, and I appreciate it because he's been so consistent over the years. And that's what you see from a lot of the guests on this show. There is a routine or a process that they do religiously, and it's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, repeat. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any one of those steps get missed, then there's a potential for the whole thing to crash. So you don't miss any of the steps, even if it's time consuming or costs you extra effort. You do those steps every time because you've proven the results to yourself. And as you've seen from a lot of the guests on the show, that's their shtick. And some of them do things that are completely opposite of each other, yet they're still successful traders. And to me, that's the beauty of what we do as traders is we modify things, we tweak it, we make it fit who we are, we make it fit our personality types, which is why you should certainly talk to Dr. Woody Johnson and figure out your personality type. But then it helps us build, and from there, once we understand the process and who we are, we can get better and better and better. And I know many of you are struggling. That's just the nature of the beast. That's how these things work. But if you learn from those mistakes and your struggles, you'll come out of it the other side much, much stronger. So for those of you who are new today, again, please hit that subscribe button. If you click the little bell, it'll actually let you pick which programs you want to subscribe to. I did not do a chart of the week this week. I'll be totally honest with you guys. Friday night, I had some friends over for a barbecue, and then the next thing you know, I was having a barbecue till about 2:30 in the morning. We were having a great night. And I thought, damn it, I'm supposed to do a chart of the week, and it has to be up by 10 a.m. I just turned to my friends and said, not going to happen. So we didn't do one Saturday. I'll try to do another one, but it's a very time-consuming process for me to build out those videos Saturday morning to get 200 people to watch. I don't know if it's the reward is worth the risk or time effort for me. So I will try to do it. More and more frequently. All right, let's see. How many people in Gabe's company? I'm pretty sure it's just Gabe. Streamlined it down to just him. And because he doesn't have all the education pieces of it, he doesn't have all the support, right? It's just basically he's in there trading, and here's the room, and log in and see his routine and the trades he's making. It's a good perspective, a good way to do it. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of people here who are actually in that community. So, you see he's got some fans already. I'm a fan of Gabe as well. I mean, obviously, I'm not bringing on anybody on this program who I dislike or distrust. I'm going to keep the good people on this program. The others can go away. Harrison, the hangover was the next day, but yes, it was a little bit of ringing. Adam, you're talking about TradeStation charts. For most of it, I'm just using the at contracts. So I'm not using EC equals 107XN. I'm just using the at continuous. Those long-time historical levels will be different, so if you want to, if you're looking at long-term picture, looking for supply levels or demand zones from, 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, then you want to use that 107XN or what that modifier is so that it goes back to the actual prices on those dates. But I'm usually not going back that far with regards to my time frames here. So there you go. Okay, Thomasini, I know you appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're always commenting on it too. I do appreciate that. I actually had one I thought was interesting, but I take a chart and I rebuild the whole chart. I do all the graphics, all the animation, and guys, it takes me probably 3 to 4 hours to build out one of those things. And as you can imagine, having a wonderful evening with a bunch of friends at 2:30 in the morning, I wasn't in the mood to build out one of those. Okay, let's see. Let's go to tomorrow. Economic calendar for today. First off, let's talk about what happened out there today, right? There was some interesting things happen with regards to the fundamentals. We talked about retail sales in Canada, and I told you I just don't see it jumping up to 20%. Luckily, I was right. I've been right in a couple things this year. There is the retail sales number for Canada. They expected it to be 20%. I thought that was a bit lofty considering what happened in the U.S. We missed our target as well, and Canada missed by about 2%. 18.7 is what they came out at. That was pretty much it for the major economic news. Earnings front, though, here's what you had cooking. You had Lockheed Martin. They beat earnings. You had Coca-Cola beat earnings. You had Intuitive Surgical with a huge blowout of earnings. Texas Instruments, Philip Morris, and, of course, United Airlines. The expectations were already just appallingly dismal, losing $9.13 per share. They missed that. They're down at $9.31. So for your holding shares of United Airlines, I did not see what UAL did today. Let me really quickly bring up a chart of UAL. I'm sure it's not that nice. Oh, actually had a green day. You have record losses, and you still got to go up a little bit. Who knows? What a weird market we are in. Now, let's look at what's happening tomorrow. This is for the 22nd economic calendar. Really, there's a bunch of stuff coming out for Canada, but it's all related to CPI. That's Consumer Price Index. You also have an important number for me this week. Housing sales are critical for an economy to continue to thrive and continue to move up. So we are going to see that tomorrow. You have some housing data there. You see we have existing home sales. There's also new home sales on Friday. So we got two major pieces of housing data happening this week. You also have crude oil inventories, but all of that will pale in comparison to earnings tomorrow. This is it. The show tunes. We had just about 2 weeks ago, Tesla's market capitalization was just crossing $200 billion, and there was a lot of fanfare. Well, it's almost to $300 billion now. Unbelievable how quick that moves. It almost looks like Bitcoin's price chart just went parabolic, and it looks like it's going to continue there. Microsoft is reporting earnings. Both of those are after market close. As you guys remember from me talking in the past, you have 4 symbols, that is 4 letters in this ticker symbol. That's generally a NASDAQ, which is majority of the time after the market close. You also have GlaxoSmithKline. That's important because they're one of the major ones in the fight for a COVID vaccine. Again, whoever gets that COVID vaccine first really starts to move to the upside and vault even higher. Let's see. That was it from the earnings announcement. We'll definitely be talking about Tesla and Microsoft tomorrow. So that will do it for that information. Any last minute questions here? I will go through real quick. What time we got? Oh, we're late, although we started a little bit late. Tomorrow's guest will be Sam Evans. We'll have Sam Evans on the program. He just opened up his door on his new trading and investing thing, so I think we'll certainly be talking about that. And Sam always offers insights into market analysis and charts, so we'll look at what's going on in his world, what he's trading, what he likes. He always has some good information for us to peek at. All right, what do we got here? Do you think oil is priced too high right now? I do not actually think oil is priced too high. If you look at what's happening on the price chart here, this is the crude oil price chart on a daily. It's at equilibrium. How do we know it's at equilibrium? Look at the price. It's been pretty much going sideways for the better part of a month. We had this anomaly, crazy market sell-off on April 20th, and all of a sudden, it's now just traversing sideways. To me, it's reached that equilibrium, about $40. And until we get a firm break, like today's price action is actually pretty important because we did break a line in the sand that I've been talking about for quite some time, which is right there. This 41.79 was a mark that's the high price we achieved on the 23rd of June. And we have not been able to break it, but every day it's making, it seems like, higher lows, right? If we were to draw a line across these bottoms here, and it's a rough line, I know, but you see this line right here, you can see that it's slowly pressing upwards. The buyers are winning on the longer term here to the upside. So today's price action at 41.92 actually makes me feel like we are about to start that move to the upside. We finally are getting a close above that line of 41.79. It's only 13 cents above it, but that looks like it may start to move up to the upside. And then you got that $48 price target for crude oil. So I don't think it's priced too high. I think it's actually at an equilibrium number, and we may actually see it move higher because of what happened out there today, although it's not on really significant volume. Let's see. What else do I have here? Join late. Gabe is the man. What else do I have? What time tomorrow for what, Richard? I do the show every day. Show is at 2 p.m. and we'll be live at 2 p.m. I know I was a couple minutes late today because of a tech issue, but that's pretty much it. How do I donate to the cause? Are you talking to my cause, Kingsley? There's the easiest way is down at the bottom of your chat. There's like a little money icon, which I didn't even know existed until the viewers were sending in money, and you can donate right there. That's one way to do it. Okay, cool, everybody. That's going to do it for me today. I had a bunch of stuff I need to take care of. Tomorrow we'll have Sam Evans on the program. If you have a specific chart you want us to look at, Sam and I love going over price charts. So please send in ticker symbols. You can put them down below the chat on the YouTube page. You can also go to Trader Merlin. We'll throw you a little fire right there. There's some heat for you. TraderMerlin.com is an easy way for you to send in those comments and questions. So do it there. If not, you can send them down below the chat, and I'll get to all those on tomorrow's show. Until then, happy trading, everybody. I will see you tomorrow.